Hi, I'm Lawrence Ong. I'm the founder of Max Learning Groups, and today we are going to look at our PSLE Concept Mastery for Primary 5 Max topics. Alright, now there will be a long series, or quite a long series of P5 topics that we'll be covering for at least about 2 months, right? About 2 months, at least in 2 months' time, we hope to cover all the P5 topics. Right, so the first topic that we are going to look at is your order of 4 operations. So it's going to be a simple topic, and then after this topic, we'll move on to area of triangles, and then ratio, volume, and so on. So there'll be quite a lot of topics to come. So hopefully we can cover all the topics by the end of August, all right, end of August, and then in September we can start to do the P6 topics already. All right, so let's look at how we do the order of 4 operations. So if you look at the first example, now you have a plus and minus. So what are 4 operations? Your plus, minus, divide, and times. So every time you see the 4 operations, which one do you do first? Right, you need to think about what do you do first. So if you look at the question 1, you have a plus and minus. So when there's a plus and minus, they are both equally important, which means that you do whichever comes first. And what do you mean by come first? Means from left to right. So what comes first? The plus comes first. So you need to do the plus. So you get 57 plus 23. That will give you 80. 80 minus 48. Alright, do not get the answer without the steps. Alright, because you need the steps to give you the method marks. And then you do the minus later. So 80 minus 48, you will get 32. And that's how you get the answer. Alright, so if you have a plus and minus, you do whichever comes first, from left to right. So whenever I say whichever comes first, it means that you look at what is on the left side. Then you move from left to right. For example, number 32, question number 2. You have a minus, then you have a plus. So you do whichever comes first, left. What is on the left side, which is the minus. So you have 15, get the answer. And you can also see that I will usually put the arrow sign to indicate what to do first. And then I plus 66 later. Alright, then 15 plus 66, you will get 81. Okay, so let's go on to the next one. What happens if there is the times and divide? Same, right? If there's a time and divide side by side, they are equally important. So you also do whichever comes first. So on the left side, you see the times. So you do that first. So you have 78 times 4, and you work out your answer, and you get 312, and then you divide by 6 later. Alright, so now you divide by 6, and you will get 52. And that's how you solve. So times and plus, they are equally important. So you do whichever comes first. Alright, next one, there's a divide on the left side. So you do that first. So you have 232, and then you divide by 8. You get 29, and then you multiply by 7 later. Alright, so now let's multiply by 7. So you times 7, and you get 203. Okay, so it's quite easy. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Now, what happens if you have plus and then you have times or something different? Okay, now then you need to remember. Now, if there's a plus and there's a times, all right, what do? Times and divide are more important than plus and minus. All right, so let me just write over here: plus, minus, divide, and times. So there are 4 operations. Which is more important to do? Which takes up more priority? Now, the divide and the times, they will be more important. So if you see them, you must do them first. And then if you see plus and minus, then you do them later. Alright, later. So you always do the divide and the times first, because they are more important than the plus and minus. So in question 5, there's a plus, but there's a times. So you do the times, because the times is more important. So 37 times 4, and you will get 148. Okay, and what I will do is I will write out the whole sentence so that I don't confuse myself. So I always have the arrow sign, like what you saw, to show that you need to do the operation first. Alright, so now you can plus already. So you take 68, then you plus 148, and your answer will be 216. So if there's a plus, minus, divide, and times, right, together, now what do? You do the divide and the times first, because they are more important. Alright, next one, there's a minus and there's a time. So which is more important to do? Which is the times. So you take 546 and you minus 39 times 3, and you get 117. Then now you can subtract already. So you take 546 and you minus 117, and you will get 429. Okay, alright, let's go down to the next two. There's a plus and divide. So which one do you do first? By now you should know already. You do the divide first, right? Because it's more important than the plus. So you write down the whole statement, write down the whole thing. 924 plus, then you take 128 divide by 8, and you get 16. Then you add them. So you will get 940. Okay, now next one, there's a minus and divide. If you look from left to right, left to right, which is on the left side, there's a minus. Then you go to the right side, there's a divide. So which one do you do first? You do the divide first. So you have 334, and then you minus 91 divide by 7, and you get 13. So you take 334 minus 13, and you will get 321. Okay, so it's still quite easy, right? You won't see this in the exam because they are a bit too simple already. So let's go to the next one, which is a little more relevant to the exam. Okay, the exam. Right, now you have three operations here. So you have plus, divide, minus. So when you read the sentence, you always read from left to right. And what do you see on the left side? There is a plus, then there's a divide, and then there's a minus. So which one do you do first? Whenever you see divide and times, you always do that first. So there's a divide, so you arrow sign, because that is what you need to do first. Then you equal 9, write out the whole sentence again, 9 plus, then you divide, 35 divided by 7, you get 5, then you minus 6. Okay, now there's a plus and minus, so back to the early part of the lesson, both are equally important. Plus and minus are equally important, so you do left to right, whichever comes first. So 9 plus 5 is 14, then you minus 6. And now you get your answer 8. Okay, so next one, there's a times, there's a plus, and there's a divide. So do which is more important? The more important one is your times. Alright, times is more important than plus. So you arrow sign, and you take 18 times 6, you get 108, and then you plus 21, and then divide by 3. So now you have plus and divide. Which is more important? The divide is more important. Alright, it's more important than the plus. So you take 108 plus 7. And now you can get your answer, which is 115. Okay, let's do a bit more. Right, at the end of the lesson, you should be very good with doing all this already. And you will only see these questions in paper 1. Right, paper 2 don't have these questions. Okay, now you have divide, minus, and times. So divide is more important than minus. Right? So you bracket, you arrow sign. So what is your answer for 132 divided by 4? That will be 33, then you minus 3, and then you times 5. Alright, so now you have minus and times. So which is more important? Your times is more important. So you take 33, then you minus 15. And that's how you get your answer, 18. Okay, next one. Now you have times, minus, times, and plus. So you have 4 operations here. Alright, but don't worry, don't get stressed, because always look at left to right. Which one is more important as you read from left to right? From the left side, you see the times, so you arrow sign. Okay, arrow sign. Now don't do everything in one step, because it's quite, it can be quite confusing. What I will do is I always do step by step. Alright, so you will see me doing step by step. So the first step is to multiply to get 63. Then I will write out everything else. Okay, I'll write out the whole thing. Right, maybe a bit slow, but you will not make mistakes if you go step by step. Now you have minus, times, and plus. So which is more important? The times. So 63 minus 40 and then plus 3. So step by step. Alright, I won't do everything in one step. Alright, then you have minus and plus. So I do left to right, because minus and plus are equally important. And I get 23, then plus 3, and that's how I get 26. Okay, alright, let's go on to next one. Alright, what happened if there's a bracket now, which is the last part of the lesson? Now, the bracket is the most important, or I call it the most powerful. So every time you see a bracket, you have to do whatever that's inside the bracket, irregardless of what you see, whether it's a plus, minus, divide, or times. If you see a bracket, you got to do that first. So there's a bracket, I will have to arrow sign. Okay, so I have 94 minus, I take 51 minus 19, I get 32. Now I can do the minus, right? 94 minus 32. So 94 minus 32, I will get 62, which is, okay, the answer. Alright, next one, there is a bracket, right? Even though times is important, but there is a bracket that is even more important than the times. So the bracket, I have to do that first. So I take 5 times 8, right? Do the bracket first. and then finally you take 5 times 8, right? So remember, bracket is the most important. Okay, let's go to the next one. Let's go to next page. And okay, now this will be something that you will see in your exam, in your paper 1, and it carries about 2 marks sometimes, or even 1 mark. Okay, now, so you have divide, plus, times, and there's a bracket. So every time you see a bracket, you need to do that first. So you arrow sign. So 8 divide by 4, then plus 9. So you write out everything else, write everything the same. And then you work out the answer in the bracket, which is 4. Okay, now you have divide, plus, and times. So which comes first and which is more important? The divide comes first and it's more important. So you have 8 divided by 4 is 2, and you write out the rest of the sentence. And then now you have plus and times, which is more important. So your times is more important. So you have 2 plus 36. And now you get 38, which is your answer. Okay, let's go to number 8. There's a bracket again. So our arrow sign, I will take 25 plus 30 and then divide by 3. Okay, there's a plus, there's a divide. Which one do I do first? I do the divide first because it's more important than the plus. Alright, remember, divide and times are more important than the plus and minus. More important means what? You have to do that first. Do what is more important first. Alright, so you have 25 plus 10 and you will get 35. Okay, let's go down. And you have a bracket with 2 operations inside. So what do you do when you see 2 operations in the bracket? Then you have to follow the order of operations, right? What do you mean by order of operations? You do whichever comes first, right? Whichever is more important. So I will write down 6 times, all right, 6 times, and there's a plus and divide in the bracket. So I have to do the more important one, right? Which is a divide. That is more important than the plus. Okay, so I must do the divide first, right? Do not remove the bracket because there's still a plus inside, right? So don't remove the bracket. 8 divided by 2, you get 4, and close the bracket. So the bracket is still there, right? It's still there. Just that you have done the dividing, but the bracket is still there because you need to plus later. All right, then you times 4. Okay, now the bracket is still there, so you have to arrow sign the bracket because that's the most important. Now 6 times 3 plus 4 is 7, then times 4. Okay, so you have times and times, so they are same, equally important. So do whichever comes first. So 6 times 7 will be 42, and then you times 4. So 42 times 4, you will get 168. Okay, so if you see 2 operations in the bracket, then what do? You look for the more important one to do first. Like for example, number 2, there's a divide and plus in the bracket, which is the more important, which is the divide. So don't remove the bracket because there's a plus there. So 60 divided by 12 is 5, then plus 10 and close the bracket. So you haven't completed everything in the bracket yet, so you don't remove the bracket. And then now you multiply by 25. So you have 5 plus 10, which is what you must do first, and then later you multiply by 25. Alright, so what is 15 times 25? And you will get 375. Alright, so it's not quite hard to do all these questions. Okay, let's go on to the next one. Alright, how about the next one? Now, back to our normal, the same questions that we have done. So you have divide, plus, and bracket. So you arrow sign. So 32 divide by 8, then plus, do the bracket first, which is 100. Alright, now you have divide and plus. Which one do you do first? The divide, which is more important than plus. So 32 divided by 8 is 4, and then plus 100, and then you get your answer, which is 104. Okay, so one of the lessons over here is to arrow sign. Okay, whichever that you have to do first, put the arrow sign there. Then you can see how you get the answer step by step. Alright, for example, there's a divide, times, and divide. Which one do you do first? When you see divide and times, they are equally important. So you do whichever comes first. So arrow sign, that is your first step. That's your step. So 49 divided by 7 is 7. Then you write out the rest of the sentence. And then which one do you do first again? There's a times and there's a divide. So you do whichever comes first. So arrow sign. And you get 49 divided by 49. So what is 49 divided by 49? 1. So step by step. Okay, right, it's very important that you do step by step so that you can check your steps to see whether you get the answer correct, and also for the teacher to understand what you are doing. Okay, now let's go to the next one. Okay, last page already. So I think you should take this time to pause the video and try to do all this on your own. And then once you have completed once you have gotten the answers, then you play the video and check to see whether you got the answers correct. So you may want to pause the video now to try and do all these questions and then see whether you get the answer. Okay, so once you're done, all right, let's check your answers and see whether you get it correct. So which one do you do first? Now there's a divide, there is a bracket, there's a plus. So I will do the bracket first because it's the most important. So 4800 divide by 24 and then plus 750. All right, now there's a divide and there's a plus. So divide and plus, which is more important? The divide is more important. So 4800 divide by 24, you will get 200, then plus 750. Add them together, you will get 950. All right, so do you get this answer correct? Okay, question 6. There's a bracket, there's a plus and divide in the bracket. Which one is more important inside the bracket, which is your divide? So don't remove the bracket because you still have to plus later. So 610 plus, you take 128 divide by 4, you will get 32. And then you minus 250, right? Okay, so now you have to do the bracket because the bracket is the most important. So you take 610 plus 32, and you will get 642 minus 250. And then you do your working, 642 minus 250, and you will get 392. So do you get the answer correct? Okay, all right, let's go to the next one. Which one do you bracket first, or which one do you arrow sign? Divide, plus, and there's a bracket. Every time you see a bracket, you do that first. So you have 49, then divide by 7, then plus 16, and then times 2. Alright, so which one do you bracket now? Always go from left to right. There's a divide, there's a plus, there's a time. There's no bracket, right? No more bracket already. So you arrow sign the divide. So 49 divided by 7, that will be 7, then plus 16, and then times 2. Alright, so which one do you do first? Plus or times? You do the times first, because times is more important than plus. So 7 plus 32. And then finally, you do the adding, which is 39. So do you get the answer correct? Okay, well done if you got the answer correct. Okay, let's go to the bracket, to question 8. There's a bracket, there's a times, and there's a minus in the bracket. So do whichever that's more important in the bracket. So you have 45, and then you minus. Don't take out the bracket is still there. 15 minus 2, right? And then you plus 10. Okay, now you have to do the bracket already, right? Bracket is the most important. So you take 45 minus 13, and then plus 10. Alright, there's a minus and there's a plus. So they are equally important. So you do whichever comes first, which is your minus. So 45 minus 13, you will get 32, and then you plus 10, and that's how you get 42. So do you get the answer correct? Okay, so you're getting the hang of it. Okay, let's go to the next one. Question 9, times, plus, divide, minus. So which one do you do first? There's no bracket. So we look at the more important operations, which is your times. Alright, times or divide. If you see times and divide, you always do them first. Alright, so in this question 9, there is a time which is at the beginning, right? You see the times on the left side. So you have to do it first. Right? And then you write out the rest of the numbers. Okay, write out the rest of the equation. Alright, now you have plus, divide, minus. So which one do you do first? You do the divide first. Alright, divide is more important than plus and minus. So 63, then plus 3 minus 10. Okay, so now you have plus and minus. So they are equally important. So you do whichever comes first, which is 66, then you minus 10. And your answer will be 56. Do you get the answer correct? Okay, let's go on to the next one. Okay, now there's a bracket, so no need to think about it. You have to do the bracket first. So 25 times 3 minus 10 plus 15. So there's a times, there's a minus, there's a plus. So do the more important one that comes first. So 25 times 3, that will be 75 minus 10, then plus 15. So you have minus and plus. Which one do you do first? You do the left to right, right? Both are equally important. So minus and plus are equally important. So you do from left to right. And you have 65 plus 15, and you will get answer 80. Do you get the answer correct? Okay, so I think we are done. Okay, we are done with the whole lesson on 4 operations. So it's a very simple lesson, not very hard. And these kind of questions, they come out in paper 1. So you will see these kind of questions in paper 1. And how many marks do they carry? They carry about 1 mark, or maybe about at the most 2 marks. So score in this question, right? Not very hard to score. So you should make use of all these questions, all right, and get the marks out of these questions. All right, so we come to the end of the lesson here. Now in the next lesson, we'll be looking at area of triangles, right? How do we find the area of triangles? How do we identify the base and the height, and then use the base and the height to find the area? All right, so that's the end of our concept mastery on P5 topics. All right, so stay tuned for the next concept mastery lesson.